Welcome back to the Twin Files. It's been a while and we're back for 2024. This case was recommended by our subscriber Jason Harris, 1636. Ben Renick was a superstar of the snake breeding world, husband to Lynlee and father of two. But what no one knew was that the Renick's picture-perfect life was all a lie. Ben discovered Lynlee's lies about her failing spa business, and it would be Lynlee's lies that led to Ben's death. And in a shocking turn of events, the truth will be revealed by someone no one expected. Unfortunately for Ben, the snake he should have been careful of was the one he slept next to every night. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Ben and Lynlee Renick lived in a small town of New Florence, Missouri. With less than 600 people calling it home, it was a place where everyone knew everyone. But the town's slow way of life was suddenly interrupted on June 8, 2017. A 911 operator received a shocking call about one of New Florence's most well-known residents, Ben Renick.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Husband's on the ground and there's blood everywhere.
Okay, but you know what happened to him? Okay, hold on just a second while we get somebody there.
Lynlee was the first person at the gruesome scene. Her husband, Ben, only 28 years old, lying lifeless in his snake farm. She was so distraught that she couldn't even speak to the 911 operator. She handed the phone to Sam, her brother-in-law, who rushed to the scene after she called him.
What may have happened?
He got killed by a snake.
By a snake?
He raised this large 500-pound snake.
Do you know where the snake is?
I don't know what the snake is.
Okay, so he's not breathing at all?
No, he's cold. He's blue.
Sam then revealed a chilling detail that made the situation even more terrifying. Ben's farm was home to hundreds of deadly snakes. When the police arrived, they were on high alert. Somewhere in the dozens of rows of shelves was a snake on the loose. The search for a slithery assailant turned up nothing. It was only when the coroner started moving Ben's body that bullet shell casings were discovered under his right armpit. The cold, hard truth was that this wasn't a snake attack, it was a murder. Ben had been shot 8 times in the back. Ben Renick was born in St. Louis, Missouri as the youngest of 2 sons on August 4, 1987. His family moved to New Florence, Missouri after purchasing 72 acres of land when he was just a baby. His parents, Frank and Kim Renick, were wealthy business owners who owned a very successful pet food company called Spectrum Pet Care. He and his older brother Sam had the best of everything, and their lives were full of adventure. Animals had always been a big part of Ben and Sam's lives, and their parents were their biggest supporters. But their idyllic life took a turn when in 1992, the Rennick's family home blew up in a suspicious gas explosion. Not to be discouraged from their house exploding, the Rennicks decided to build a bigger and better farmhouse. As things were looking up for the family, Kim was diagnosed with cancer in 1993, and tragically, she lost her fight in 2008. It was a devastating blow, but the family was able to push through it. In 2011, 24-year-old Ben reconnected with a high school acquaintance, 23-year-old Lynlee Gallatin, in a bar while he was playing drums in a metal band. The two clicked instantly due to their shared experience of losing their mothers to illness. And by all accounts, Ben was well liked by everyone that knew him. He was quiet and reserved, and Lynlee's bubbly and sweet personality complemented that. And more importantly, Lynlee didn't have a problem with Ben's love of snakes. She even helped out with the new snake breeding business, Renick Reptiles. Their relationship became serious rather quickly, and they moved in together within the first year of dating. Lynlee was a single mother, and Ben became a doting second father to her son. Everyone that knew the couple thought they were a perfect match. Unfortunately for the Renicks, tragedy struck again when Ben's father Frank ended his own life in 2012. Their father's death left the brothers to fight over the family property. This was due to Sam's ongoing divorce, which led Frank to put all of the property in Ben's name to protect it. The situation was a little contentious for the brothers, but they eventually worked out an agreement. Sam was allowed to live in the main farmhouse, and Ben built a new house on the property and converted an old barn into a world-class snake facility. Ben and Lynlee got married in 2014, and as Ben grew his business, Lynlee was by his side every step of the way. One of Ben's friends in the snake breeding business described Lynlee as a supportive and very involved wife that helped with the hatching of snakes, the marketing, and helped Ben set up at conventions. By 2017, Ben was a superstar in the snake breeding community. His popularity extended outside the US, and he had customers in countries like the UK and Japan. He was especially known for his morph and other rare snakes that he bred. A morph is a ball python that has been selectively bred for a specific color and pattern mutations. He also bred giant ball pythons and anacondas and sold his snakes for tens of thousands of dollars. His collection of snakes was worth over $1 million. Before his murder, Ben was in the process of selling his ball python portion of the business to hockey player Robin Lynlee. Lynlee wasn't just the snake breeder's wife. She was a massage therapist, and with the help of Ben, she opened up her own spa called Essentia Spa. With their success, wealth, and children, the Renicks lived a charmed life, or so Ben thought, because what he didn't know was that Lynlee was having multiple affairs behind his back. She met men on dating apps, and she even slept with her marketing manager. On the day of the murder, Lynlee was questioned by the police, and she told them that she had just got home after picking up her kids from school. Usually, that was Ben's job, but on that day, Lynlee received a call from the school telling her that no one came for her children. After leaving the school, she called her husband multiple times with no answer, so she decided to go to the snake facility. She told her kids to wait in the car, and when she walked inside, she found Ben's body. When the police asked Lynlee who she thought could have killed her husband, she took that opportunity to make Sam her perfect scapegoat. It wasn't a secret that the brothers had a rocky relationship. Lynlee explained to the police that Ben and Sam weren't as close as they used to be after their father's death. According to Lynlee, after their father left everything to Ben, Sam demanded half of the inheritance and Ben refused. And this made the rift between the brothers worse. Lynlee described Sam's personality as aggressive and more in your face, which contrasted with Ben's quiet and calm nature. Sam could switch from being overly dramatic to depressed. Lynlee's description of Sam's personality seemingly matched the EMT's first impression. In an interview on the episode of Dateline, the EMT noted that Sam's behavior seemed suspicious. At the scene of death, Sam complained that Ben was too cheap to pay for anyone to help him with the snake facility, and bizarrely at one point called himself a brother murderer. With suspicions turned to Sam, the police questioned him next and asked him about his relationship with Ben. Sam admitted that he and his brother weren't as close as they used to be, and described his brother as not knowing how to have fun and that Ben liked to drink. He also said that one reason that he didn't speak to his brother much was because Ben would brag about how much money he was making. Sam also told the detectives that he and his brother had their issues regarding the farmhouse and how their childhood home had become a money pit that needed $50,000 in repairs. The way he spoke about his brother didn't exactly make Sam look innocent. It had already become the talk of the town that Sam probably killed Ben. In the days after the murder, Sam agreed to take a polygraph, and he and Lynlee had their hands tested for gun residue, and they both were cleared. For the first few days of the investigation, Sam was very cooperative with the police and made himself available for questioning. But he became hostile and blocked the road to his farm. He then put up a sign that said, "Drunk and armed." Eventually, both Sam and Lynlee were ruled out by the police. So the police investigated two other possible theories of what happened. Their first theory was that it was a robbery gone wrong. Ben's snakes were worth tens of thousands of dollars each, and the location of his snake breeding facility wasn't exactly a secret. Furthermore, the facility had been robbed in the past and $6,000 in cash was stolen. However, that theory was ruled out after deputies had Lynlee go through their inventory and nothing appeared to be missing. The second theory was that the murder may have had something to do with Ben's father, Frank Renick. While Frank was a loving father and a doting husband, he was also a scammer. Frank sold fraudulent stock certificates of his pet food company that weren't worth the paper they were printed on. He scammed 250 people for over $7 million. He was indicted on 3 charges of mail fraud and faced 20 years in prison. Frank took his own life before the case went to trial. The theory was that maybe an investor that lost money wanted to get revenge and went after Ben, but they couldn't find a connection. And so, the police went back to the drawing board. As the police investigated the murder, Ben's friends in the tight-knit exotic reptile community rallied behind Lynlee and held an auction of donated snakes. They were able to raise over $40,000. With Ben gone, taking care of the snakes alone was more work than Lynlee could handle. and so one of Ben's friends, David Levinson, volunteered to help. According to David, Lynlee was depressed and didn't appear to be in any condition to work. He said that she was so depressed that she eventually moved out of her family home and moved in with her dad. To David and everyone in New Florence, Lynlee was a grieving widow trying to get through a devastating loss. But to the police, her actions showed anything but. Investigators were called by a claims adjuster to confirm if Lynlee was a suspect in Ben's murder. For murder cases, insurance companies can launch their own investigations, and claims adjusters will call the police to find out if someone is a suspect or not. Turns out, just 12 hours after Ben's death, she tried to collect on $1 million life insurance policy. Now that she was officially labeled a suspect, the insurance payout was put on hold. Lynlee was desperate for cash. So she sold off Ben's property, including his prized snakes. She even sent an eviction notice to Sam, telling him that he had 30 days to vacate his family's farmhouse. Sam then sued Lynlee in an attempt to save his family farm. With this new information, the police called Lynlee for a second interrogation. The police subpoenaed her phone records and discovered her multitude of affairs. Lynlee told them that just because she was cheating on Ben didn't mean she murdered him. In her fifth and final interrogation, to prove that she was innocent, she took a polygraph test. Lynlee bombed the test. And it wasn't only the affairs that Lynlee lied about. Investigators discovered through Lynlee's Facebook messages that Ben found out that her business was failing and that she was lying about it. The couple was over $200,000 in debt because of the spa. Ben sent a message just hours before his murder that said, "No more lying, no more keeping things from me, no more not paying people and thinking it's okay to pay for things later." That text was in response to Ben finding out that she was being sued by 2 construction companies for non-payment. In the months that Lynlee was being investigated, the people around her started to notice a dramatic change. She completely stopped communicating with Sam and wouldn't let him see his niece and nephew. A few months after the murder, she introduced her new boyfriend, 34-year-old Brandon Blackwell, to her friends and family. She had met him on a dating app right before Ben's death. He left his wife and his child to be with her. It was a surprise to everyone that she moved on so quickly. Brandon was also questioned by the police, and after checking his alibi, he was cleared of all suspicion. Less than a year later, in 2018, Sam lost his lawsuit with Lynlee. She sold the property for $740,000, then immediately left town. Although Lynlee was still a suspect, the case had gone cold, and she was free to live her life with Brandon. She became pregnant with their 3rd child early into their relationship, and by the summer of 2019, her relationship with Brandon had turned dangerously toxic. According to Lynlee, Brandon threatened her several times, refused to leave the house, and physically attacked her. As a result, Brandon was arrested for assault, and she was given an order of protection. Once he was released, Brandon began stalking Lynlee. He texted her hundreds of times, and it reached a point where Brandon's own mother had no choice but to call the police on him. She called Lynlee to warn her to get out of the house because Brandon was on the way and he threatened to sleep in her backyard. He was arrested again, and this time it was for felony stalking. By January 2020, Brandon Blackwell was arrested for violating the protection order. This made him so furious that he wanted revenge, and so he told his father to call the detectives because he had a story to tell. And what he said will bust the 3-year-old cold case wide open. Brandon told the detectives that Lynlee had blown everything out of proportion, and since she lied about the abuse, he wasn't going to keep her secrets anymore. He explained that he'd always had a strange feeling about Ben's murder, and he asked her repeatedly if she had anything to do with it. He told Lynlee that if their relationship was to progress any further, he had to know the truth. She confessed while they were on a romantic getaway and told him that Ben knew that the spa was a money pit. She was so afraid that Ben would divorce her and get full custody of the kids that she plotted his murder. And Lynlee didn't do it alone. She recruited an ex-boyfriend named Mike to end Ben's life. Lynlee told Brandon that on the day of the murder, she and Mike went to the snake facility and surprised Ben. He said, "What the f***?" and they shot him repeatedly. All of the lies that kept Lynlee out of prison were useless, now thanks to a scorned ex. While Mike was a new suspect to Ben's friends and family, the police actually knew who he was. They learned about him during one of Lynlee's many interrogations. Lynlee had dozens of text messages between her and a Mike H. They texted for days leading up to Ben's murder that abruptly stopped the day of the murder. When the police questioned her about it, she said that Mike H. was just a former client that was a mechanic. One of her employees named Ashley Shaw had car problems, and she was just trying to help her out. Mike H. turned out to be Lynlee's former boyfriend, Michael Humphrey. Michael had previously been interviewed, and his story matched up with Lynlee's. But the police couldn't help but wonder why she contacted an old boyfriend she hadn't spoken to in 7 or 8 years about car repair. It was a question that the police didn't have an answer to until Brandon's damning revelation. With this new information in hand, the police checked Lynlee's and Michael's alibis, but their stories didn't clear them. On January 16, 2020, Lynlee Renick and Michael Humphrey were arrested for Ben's murder. It was a shock to everyone that knew her. While she didn't exactly act like a grieving widow, family and friends never truly believed that she was involved. First to face the court was Michael Humphrey in October 2021. The prosecution told the jury that he and Lynlee were partners in crime. According to them, Michael was the one that got the gun and gave it to Lynlee. Prosecutors said that Michael plotted with Lynlee every step of the way. But Michael's defense argued that the only thing that he was guilty of was trying to help a friend in need. In his version of events, he was lured to the snake facility by Lynlee, who wanted Michael to protect her when she told Ben she wanted a divorce. When they arrived, Lynlee introduced Michael to Ben, then Michael went to look at the snakes. He claimed that he heard gunshots near the entrance, and when he ran over to see what happened, Ben was already dead. But the jury didn't believe Michael's story. After deliberating for only 5 hours, he was found guilty, and he was convicted of first-degree murder and armed criminal action. Now it was Lynlee's turn. On December 6, 2021, she went on trial for murder. The prosecution argued that she was a greedy wife who killed her husband for the $1 million life insurance policy. They described Lynlee as being just as cold-blooded as her husband's snakes. She was painted as a woman so calculating that she willingly picked up her children from school and drove back to the place knowing that her kids would find out that their father was dead. The defense argued that while Lynlee was a cheater, she wasn't a killer. She was planning a divorce, not a murder. They blamed Michael Humphrey as Ben's real killer and that Lynlee had nothing to do with it. But the prosecution's star witness will blow Lynlee's claims right out of the water. Do you remember Ashley Shaw, Lynlee's employee that needed her car fixed? She was given immunity and she was going to tell everything. Ashley testified that not only did Lynlee and Michael plan Ben's murder, it wasn't even the first time she tried to kill Ben. She claimed that Lynlee told her and another employee named Rachel Hunt stories about Ben emotionally abusing her and that she was worried that he would take her kids away during the divorce. With Lynlee's tears and sob story, Ashley agreed to help. She and Rachel plotted alongside Lynlee on different ways to kill Ben, and they settled on poisoning him. It was Ashley who gave Lynlee prescription high-dosage narcotics to slip into Ben's food. While he did become violently ill, Ben didn't die. And when that plan failed, Lynlee called Michael for help. On June 8, 2017, Michael picked up Lynlee from Essentia Spa around 2 p.m. She left her phone with Ashley, and Ashley sent multiple DMs through Facebook messages pretending to be Lynlee. She explained that Lynlee returned a couple hours later, freaked out, and asked Ashley to help clean and get rid of the gunshot residue and blood. Once Lynlee was cleaned off, she told Ashley what happened. She said that they got to the snake facility and that Michael got nervous and didn't want to do it. He handed Lynlee the gun, and she was the one that actually pulled the trigger. Lynlee told Ashley that she shot Ben several times in the back. Then, Lynlee deliberately didn't pick up her children from school and waited for the school to call her and tell her that the children were never picked up. After getting her children, she drove to the snake farm, knowing full well that they were going to find Ben's body. It was a damning testimony that was only bolstered by the prosecution's new key witness, Michael Humphrey. Michael had flipped, and in a deal with the prosecutors, testified against Lynlee and provided the location of the murder weapon in exchange for the lesser charge of second-degree murder and life in prison. With the cards stacked against her, the defense took a chance and put Lynlee on the stand. She testified that she was in an emotionally abusive marriage that she desperately wanted to escape. In her version of events, she and Michael went to the snake facility, and before she could do anything, Michael shot Ben. She said that she screamed and ran outside. Then Michael rushed her to her car and they drove off. When the prosecution asked why she blamed Sam, Lynlee claimed that she was in shock, but she couldn't answer why she never told the police the truth in over 3 years. It only took the jury 12 hours to find Lynlee Renick guilty of second-degree murder. She was sentenced to 16 years in prison. To Sam, 16 years was far too short for what Lynlee did. He was upset that she wasn't charged with first-degree murder. Meanwhile, Michael Humphrey was sentenced to life in prison. Lynlee's children are currently living with her father. We would like to note that Lynlee never paid any of these people to help her with the murder. They were just trying to help a friend. Thanks for watching the Twin Files. Let us know in the comments if you think that Lynlee's sentence was too short. If you want to learn about another deadly wife, watch our Clara Harris video, an angry wife that ran over her cheating husband after he told her to do a to-do list to be just like his mistress.